Thank you for joining us, Ainee. It's my pleasure to welcome somebody very special today, Ainee Cha. She joins us from New Zealand, and she has so much to share with us today. Ainee is a certified mindfulness meditation teacher. She has been the Global Wellness Day Ambassador of Nepal. She is a mindfulness, spiritual, emotional resilience, heart-centered leadership, women empowerment and transformation coach. So thank you so much, Ainee, for taking out the time to giving us your blessed presence here. Before we begin, Ainee, please share with us what was your experience like. How did you land up into that role of Wellness Day Ambassador of Nepal?
All right. First of all, I would really love to thank you for having me here. And it's really an honor to be a part of this. So as you say, I help
Thank you.
women with emotional resilience and all this, but I didn't set out to do so, right? I was going through my own life transitions about more than 10 years ago. And that's where I start learning to be with myself first. Right. And then the mindfulness came, the practice came, and yeah, now I work my work rooted in all mindfulness because this is where the practice is, the emotional awareness, what we are going through, and not to fix ourselves, but to develop a loving relationship with ourselves. Right.
That's a very profound statement you said. Don't fix yourself. It's not to fix yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You need to just kind of observe and assure
Mm-hmm. To develop a
that
good,
you are the whole.
a relationship with ourselves. I think this is where I find many of us, women, men, we lost ourselves in the midst of chasing life.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's, and you put it across so beautifully. I mean, your calm, your poise actually just pours out in these statements. That's so well put out. Moving on from here to a very natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
How do you look at grief? What is grief for you?
Well, I look at grief in a way that, grief is an emotions. So I understand we're now talking about menopause, perimenopause, and andropause. But I do want to start off with reframing what we are experiencing. So during these periods of change in our life, what we are experiencing is not dysfunction. I think this is a very important takeaway. When we feel lost, we feel that we are dysfunction. So I do want to reframe it in a way that what we are, for the audience who are listening here, what we are experiencing in these changes in our life is not a dysfunction. It's change meeting awareness. Now,
Change meeting awareness.
yeah. So I understand because through mindfulness, it's an ancient practice of Buddhist psychology. Those days, there is no such bombastic words as burnout, menopause, perimenopause, all this kind of thing, right? And in those days, we talk about dukkha, right? Dukkha means suffering.
Dukkha.
Yeah, suffering that arise from clinging to, from change, from the misalignment with reality. And suffering wasn't about what has happened, but it's really about how we thought what has happened and how we relate to what we felt.
Perceive what has happened transforms into whether it is going to be perceived as grief or whether it is going to be perceived as happiness.
So it's individual how they perceive is how their thoughts pattern works. But what I'm trying to say is whatever that we are experiencing as change is meaning to bring us awareness of that change. Now, because loss itself does not cause suffering, it is the resistance to loss that causes suffering. See, during these changes in life, there are changes in the body, physical body, mental, like what you have explained, grief, loss, this transition of life. It's really how we thought what happened and how we relate to what we are feeling. And loss itself, I repeat, does not cause suffering. It is the resistance of loss that is causing this suffering. But once we bring this to awareness, some things will change, right? And we often think about loss as wanting it to be same. The resistance come, right, when we are not able to accept. So the body itself keeps the score, and we all know that. So when the body changes how I feel, energy shift. And when what we used to do, what is normal, become different. Obviously, we are resisting.
This is so profound. This is so deep. At the same time, you have kind of put to words the very cause of pain. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say.
yeah.
There are different types of grief.
Mm-hmm.
Grief that is caused by a funeral, and there's grief that is without a funeral. Grief of lost energy,
Yeah,
grief of lost identity,
correct.
grief of lost predictability.
Mm-hmm. This is
It shows up
amazing.
as irritation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
shows as numbness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You feel as if I don't recognize myself. Nervous system holds grief as
Mm-hmm.
chronic stress,
Mm-hmm.
not emotion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. True, true.
And where does mindfulness, where does awareness kind of show up in all this?
So all this that is happening, they are emotions. Grief, not in funeral, but grief, loss of identity is still lost. How we perceive
Absolutely.
lost,
Mm,
yeah. How we
mm.
felt, how we are feeling that lost, right? So to me, I haven't been to the menopause, but I think I'm getting there. So thank you for this. I'm learning and I'm preparing myself to accept the changes.
Prepare.
Yeah,
Yes,
we are
yes, yes.
preparing ourselves to accept that this is the life changes, right? So when we feel all these emotions in the body, we feel confused, alarmed, and lot and
Alarmed.
yeah, alarm. And most of the time, a normal human being, we are not able to really identify or pinpoint this is grief.
Yes, yes,
So we feel like
yes.
what you say, overwhelmed with emotions, irritation happens, right? Because
Mm,
all these are
mm,
unacknowledged grief that stalls in the body, not being processed.
mm.
Hmm. And I feel like numbness is just an overwhelm of these emotions and irritations that has just gone quiet. Because the thing is, emotions that are pain is very hard to face. I can share that with you because it is so hard to feel that pain. That's why we went backward. We turn that pain that we are not ready to face into numbness, numb the emotions, but we are not processing it. It still stalls in the body.
It keeps storing inside
Yeah.
various parts of your body, various muscles.
Yes. Yes. So then,
Because you decide to you because I think any because you decide to look at it at a later date. You kind of
that's.
store it for
Hmm.
now, and we'll come back to this at a later point.
Yeah, you
And
can.
that later point somehow doesn't come.
Well, that's why we need to bring awareness to it. We are not pushing that away. We're bringing
Hmm,
awareness that this is change, right? I like to
hmm,
talk about grief, like what you mentioned earlier. Now, grief is a very strong emotion. In mindfulness, we call it unpleasant emotions. So emotions are
mm,
not negative nor positive, but
mm.
it's a felt sense in the body. If it's a pleasant emotions, we feel light. If it's a unpleasant emotion, we feel constricted, right? We feel heavy, right? That's a lighter word for
Mm.
that. So to me, as we know, grief has 5 stages. First
Mm.
is denial, and then anger, and then there's a bargaining period, and then it comes to
Yeah.
depression, and then there's an acceptance, right? And these stages need to be processed not just intellectually, but
Yeah.
also emotionally, neurologically, and chemically in the body.
In the body.
Correct,
In the
in
body.
the body,
Absolutely.
right? So what's important here is to understand that acceptance at the final stage of grief does not mean that we simply forget it and we just move on. Because, like you say, when it's stored in the body, it will resurface again when it is triggered, right?
And it will resurface with a bigger intensity, much
True,
higher intensity.
much higher for any emotions, right? So, acceptance means here what we are learning with awareness that we are building a new relationship with grief, with the loss that
Mm.
we experience. Not changing
Mm.
anything, we're building a new relationship. So that's a
Mm.
process of it. And like I say, this process is not just intellectually, I can reason it out. But if it's not being processed and understood and felt in the body, it's going to still be there.
Have you ever come across a term called loss of inner containment?
Would you like to
Where,
explain?
yeah. So what I look at inner
Mm-hmm,
containment, or let's say
mm-hmm,
loss of inner
mm-hmm,
containment, is feeling unheld from within.
mm,
Emotions that leak faster, tears or anger that arrives suddenly.
mm,
So that cocoon, that buffer,
mm-hmm,
stops to exist. It's
mm-hmm.
not instability, but it's like softened internal boundaries
Mm,
that have actually softened or diminished or even disappeared under stress, chronic stress, that constant release of cortisol through
mhm,
and through the
mhm,
years, and what you started to normalize.
mhm,
There comes a point in life when, if you don't have that much cortisol being released,
mhm,
you feel there's something I've not done
mm,
enough today.
mm, mhm.
Yeah, I'm not worthy of this rest.
Oh, I can totally resonate with what you're saying.
And that's when rest starts to feel illegal to you,
Mm,
that it
mhm,
is not earned.
mhm, mhm,
So that release of cortisol, we maintain it to kind of feel deserving of this particular rest. And
mm,
somehow that cortisol is depleting the layers of that buffer,
mm,
that inner containment, that
mhm,
you were supposed to be
mhm,
feeling whole.
mhm, mhm. I see where
What's
you're
your
coming.
opinion about it?
I see where you're
Yeah.
coming from. The inner alignment that you just mentioned, I feel like it's more like a sudden tears that just comes out. Like I say,
Yes.
a sudden
So many
tears,
times.
the inner boundaries
Breakdowns.
deep down.
Yes.
But I also
Yeah.
see these are in within the 5 stages of grief. See, there is a
Mm.
change, right? And there's a denial for that change. I'm not accepting that change in my
Yeah.
body,
Yeah.
in my mind, in anywhere, I'm not accepting it. And then I get angry for not accepting it. See, anger comes in
Mm.
because I get angry, and then there comes
Mm.
what this where it's coming the bargaining. I'm trying to bargain it
Yeah.
intellectually, but my body is not feeling it. So there's a lot of
Mm.
confusions there, right?
Mm.
I'm telling myself intellectually I have to accept this because this is life, but my body haven't processed it chemically. Then, and then again, you go back to the same loop in that 5 stages of grief. It's going back in the same loop until the full body in alignment, it's being processed together, understanding it intellectually, accepting it, and body felt it first.
I'll give you an example here. I don't know if you've experienced it or not, but I have, and a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
When you've cried your heart out, when you have really, really sobbed
Mm-hmm.
to the last bit of it, and there comes a moment, just for a couple of seconds, maybe 2, 3 seconds, at the end of that crying, before you actually come back to your senses and before the world actually grips you back,
Mm-hmm.
there's a pretty calm state that whatever had to happen has happened. Your body is trying to kind of come back to normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is where acceptance
Comes.
just kind of sets in,
Mm-hmm.
and your body sets that acceptance
Mm-hmm.
and says, okay, fine, you feel belonged.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually, the moment your logical mind triggers again, you're back to the chaos. But that couple of
Yep.
seconds, that moksha moment,
Mm.
what I call it,
Yep.
that is what probably we should be, able to explain with acceptance, with observance, in my opinion.
I can totally resonate with you. I've felt it many times. Like I've mentioned earlier, I've gone through life transitions, and grief is no different from any other emotions. It's for me, it was shame that I was working on. It was self-judgment that I was working on long before. Um, you know, so I do understand and resonate what that crying means. It's a release of
Yeah.
chemically. It's a
Release.
release,
Yes.
yeah. And for a moment, like you say, for a split second, it feels light. And that is where
Yeah.
I call it alignment. Not because the loss
Mm,
disappear, but because we are
mm,
finally learning to build this new relationship or learn how to relate to this loss differently,
mm.
this grief differently. So the body, mind, and the spirits begin to start moving together in alignment again.
And how do you see the overlay of perimenopause, especially? This is a
Mm,
very long period, 20 odd years that women have to undergo this constant change, constant instability, constant
mm-hmm.
loss of that inner containment, and probably waves
Yeah,
of
yeah,
grief
yeah,
hitting you time and time again, waves.
yeah.
So it's just like you're bombarded with a certain wave of emotions,
Mm-hmm,
grief attached to it,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And then you just kind of become strong again. And after a couple of hours, a couple of days, a couple of weeks,
mm-hmm,
again that wave somehow hits you.
mm-hmm. Um,
And every time it erodes away whatever you had built, that affirmations that you had built, it erodes that.
mm-hmm.
How do you see this phase in women?
Well, having taught mindfulness for so long, I think this is if you want to attach to a phase or this perimenopause, we can.
Mm,
But I
mm,
like to bring a more universal point of view to look at it. These are changes, and that we know we we in life we grow old. The body changes. In fact, our body changes cells every couple of months and things like that. We all
yes.
know that, right? But I'm 50 this year, so I think in the past few years I have, occasionally um, bringing awareness to the changes, not a very distinct changes as a woman that I feel. I feel for me, physically, I gain weight faster and I lose weight faster. As before,
Mm, mm,
um, as
wow.
before, no matter how much I eat, it's just no, I don't gain weight. You know, I don't lose weight. It's just maintaining for many years. And I realized in the past few years, if I eat a little bit more, I gain a little bit more, and I do see changes of mood swing. Yeah, I mean, that's for me, but I think a lot of people are different in how the changes move for themselves. But because of having practiced this mindfulness, I am aware these changes. So I take mini pauses when I reckon these changes that is coming. Yeah.
May I ask you?
Mm-hmm.
May I ask you? Now, since you are able to explain things from a very simplistic point of view,
Mm-hmm.
from the perspective of from the point of view of mindfulness,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how do you define mood swings? Since you've been through that, since you know how to define things
Mm-hmm.
from a mindfulness perspective,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
how do you define mood swings? What are the symptoms? What are the physical symptoms? What are the emotional symptoms attached to this?
Okay, for me, I don't know how we could identify as symptoms, but
Hmm,
because of the practice of awareness, right?
hmm,
Little awareness that change, like today, I feel like my body is heavy. I reckon that
hmm.
my body is heavy. And sometimes certain things that does not trigger me, it triggers me. So it's bringing
It was not
to
supposed to
trigger
trigger
me,
you.
it
It has
triggers me.
started to trigger you.
Yeah. So
Right.
then it's bringing awareness. Why am I angry for this? Why am I feeling this way?
Hmm,
Right? So that awareness is really important. And with practice, we're bringing more and more of these little moments of awareness. Like I sudden feel like I want to sleep, or I'm hungry, or I'm this. Like,
hmm.
it's awareness. That's why in the perspective of mindfulness,
Right.
the
Right.
practice of awareness is really, really important. Obviously, we are aware of what is going on, but to be aware of it moment to moment takes practice and time. And
So
first,
basically, what? Sorry, please go ahead.
and first is really in the body. Is it the first foundation of mindfulness as mindfulness of the body? And Buddha says that if the body is not composed, the mind will not compose. So we have to compose the body and bringing up awareness to the body first. Little signs in the body, and I'm not talking about physical signs, but things like irritation, things like why am I feeling this, tiredness, heaviness, right? But yeah,
Irritability.
irritability. Yeah. It's not mainly to understand why, but being with wisdom comes. And when we pause to notice these changes, we are actually processing it, because the science already says that it only takes 90 seconds for us to process an emotion. Anything more than 90 seconds, because we are familiar with the emotions, we try to latch on. There's a clinging to that emotion because it's familiar. Yeah. Does that explain?
So this prompts for another question.
Mhm.
Since we are familiar with certain emotions, we kind of latch onto them very fast,
Yes.
even before 90 seconds is over.
Even before 90 seconds is over.
S- that's the diagnosis of it. What to do about it?
The practice of mindfulness. It takes time to practice, and I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's not simple either. It does take some discipline for us to practice
Hmm.
noticing the body. So the mindfulness of the body is really noticing the sensations in the body. Let me give you an example. Um, when we talk about anxious, right? What are the things that you feel when you're anxious? Your palm sweats, your heart pounds faster, right?
Yes. I start having numbness in my palms.
Yeah,
I start feeling pulsations here and here.
yeah. That's because
Yeah.
you identify this feeling as anxious. But let me
Hmm.
give you a
Yes.
more pleasant word. For example,
Hmm.
excited.
Hmm.
Do you feel the same?
No.
So
I feel a lot. I feel a lot
more,
of other
a lot of other,
more jubilant symptoms associated with that.
correct. So for me, both both excited and anxious gives me a higher heart rate, right? We are pulsing faster, and I may have sweaty hands whether I'm feeling excited, like I'm lining up in a roller coaster. I feel excited. And
Hmm.
can we really differentiate, is this anxious or excited? We can't.
We can't.
We can't. It shows in the body, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the other way to look at it is not to be too attached to the word, but to drop into the body. This is how anxious feel in the body. My heart is pounding faster. This is how excitement feels in the body. My heart is also pounding faster. But we latch on to anxious being negative and excited being positive. But what we are feeling in the body is the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you have not latched on to the word,
Mm-hmm.
but instead you have gone into an inquiry every time,
Yes. Every
with
time.
every emotion. And it's, if I can explain it in a more simpler terms, it's like how people play tennis.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever they are in their court, they always want to come back into the center because they don't know where the next ball is going to come from
Mm-hmm.
and where is it going to land. So if they are in the center, they will be able to approach every
Directions.
corner, every direction much faster.
I totally
So
agree
the
with
same
you.
way, instead of assuming that this is anxiousness, you go into an inquiry every time.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of assuming that this is happiness, even if it is,
Mm-hmm.
you know happiness very well,
Yeah.
but still you go into an inquiry,
Mm-hmm.
and sooner or later that process becomes inherent to your being.
Yeah.
Am I
Kind
correct
of
in deciphering this?
it kind of neutralizes that
Yeah,
perception, so you don't feel like you're attaching to grief.
brilliant.
You don't attach to loss, you don't attach to what's anxious
Yeah,
or what is excitement, because it
brilliant.
feels the same in the body, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
another thing that I would like to share, since we're talking about this, um the other way to look at emotions is through energy, right? So I personally feel that emotions are energy in motion. It just needs
Absolutely.
it just needs to be processed, rather than get stuck at one point or different parts of the body. So if we or when we suppress this energy or emotions, it gets stuck. But when we allow it to be felt and understood, it moves through. The science already says it only takes 90 seconds to process an emotion chemically in the body. The rest is because we are so familiar, or we are resisting to accept. That's where all the what do you call that? The complications, that's where all the confusion, the irritation comes in.
So that is your preconceived notions about that
Um,
emotion that you've already had in your heart for a long time, that this is how I'm supposed to feel if something of this order
yep,
happens.
because we train the mind to do so. Yeah, neuroplasticity, we are already
So
so familiar. We
absolutely.
train the mind to do
Yes.
so, and then we are afraid of it. Yeah. So there's a famous teacher
So beautiful.
who says that
Beautiful.
we paint an angry lion or something like that, and then we are afraid of the
Hmm.
angry lion. We paint this picture because a preconceived notion of how it is, and then we're afraid of it. We're afraid to even feel it.
So that brings me to another that that brings me to another, or the next progression to this particular thing. It's a very interesting topic, and the way we are conversing about it. Women who are undergoing perimenopause know that these are the symptoms. They will have brain fog. They will have mood swings. They will be irritable. They will have anger issues. So one of the things is that, okay, you accept firstly that yes, these things are going to happen, or these things are happening in your life. Stop blaming yourself for it. Stop blaming the world around you for this. Stop blaming the environment for this. There are no environmental stressors. It's something, an internal upheaval.
Oh, I have to agree with you. Thank you so much. It's all internally, our own perception.
Internal.
Yeah.
Yes. So now, since this knowledge is there, and we've given it a name as well. One of the things that you mentioned about mindfulness, about awareness, why I'm asking time and time again about this is because these are words that everybody has heard millions and millions of times. But nobody really realizes what to do with these words. What do you do when you need to practice mindfulness? What do you do when you need to kind of practice awareness?
Yeah.
So it's important for us to digress it to a level where, okay, fine, whenever you're feeling that kind of an emotion, you need to shut your eyes for 90 seconds, deep down inside, dig down, deep dive inside, and then process it accordingly and probably look at it. Where is it coming from? Is it supposed to be given so much of attention, or just let it purge?
It's so amazing what you have just shared, and I would like to share a simple practice for the audience who are listening. It's called the rain practice, and it's one of the most ancient and the simplest practice. Yeah, it's called the rain. So rain as an R. Like first of all, when you feel this emotion, or at least if you cannot quite put a word into that emotion, that's okay. But noticing something is heavy, right? To recognize this, you might take a few breaths, close your eyes, and just inward inquiring and notice what's here. If it feels tightness in the chest, you just say tightness in the chest. If you can't identify a word, or if this is grief, then this is grief. So really giving yourself a pause to drop back down to the body and perhaps recognizing what exactly you are feeling. Is it tightness, heaviness? Is it grief? Is it exhaustion? Just noticing, we're not trying to fix anything, or we're not trying to push away or change anything, but noticing how it shows up in the body. And then you want to allow it to be there. So can I let it be here? Or perhaps you might even quietly says that, oh, this is how grief feels like. It feels like tightness. It feels like heaviness. It feels like irritation. This is how grief feels like. Now, again, we're not arguing with what we are feeling. We're not trying to justify or rushing to push anything away, but to really take the time to drop back down to the body to recognize what is it that I'm feeling and how am I feeling it in the body? Can I allow it to happen in the body? Can I allow these emotions to state it? So again, you're processing it, you're feeling it in the body is recognizing this emotion in the parts of the body. And if that is okay, we would want to investigate. Investigate means not reasoning out. I shouldn't feel this way or what. But investigate in a way that we ask the body, we ask ourselves softly, what does it need right now? What is it that is calling for my attention right now? If it's heaviness in the shoulder, tightness in the chest, what do I need now to be kind to myself with kindness, with compassion? Or maybe you can even phrase it as, how does this emotions want me to meet with them? How do I how does this emotion that I'm feeling in the body wants me to meet with them? Can I meet it with kindness? It doesn't have to be anything big. And then we're moving on to neutralizing it, to nurturing it. Maybe you might want to offer a pause, a breath, or even a hands on the heart, a simple pat on the shoulders, and a few kind words to yourself. It's okay to feel like that. And this is simply what I would really call is being really honest, emotionally honest with yourself, that I am recognizing this emotion, this irritability, or this kind of constrictions in the body. Or am I recognizing this is grief, this is loss? And what does loss wants me to, how does loss wants me to meet with? And it's just simple as that. And then it's going to be processed.
I felt hollowness inside.
Wow.
Absolute hollowness.
Can you explain a
I
little bit
was trying.
more?
So when I started looking for things, I was not able to pinpoint anything because I was satisfied. I was satiated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then I gave up that inquiry and I just wanted to be in that space. And it's a huge hollow space inside.
I hope this.
And I'm satiated with what is happening, how it is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on an inquiry of looking at my body parts. Where was the pain? Where was that unease?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I haven't slept well last night, so probably there's some pain in the lower back, but
Mm-hmm.
that's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay. It's beautiful.
And then I came back and I said what to do about it. So all that I could do was just thank thank this entity for being here.
That's it. That's your way of processing it. See, it's so beautiful the way you explain hollowness. Maybe it's some kind of I'm okay with it. Maybe that feeling is I'm okay with what it is right now. And that's already enough because you're already acknowledging this is how the feel, and it's feeling it in the body. And it's being processed chemically and intellectually by, okay, maybe there's a pain in my back, what you're saying, but I'm okay with it. Thankful that I'm alive now, right?
And another very beautiful thing that happens when I go into this kind of an inquiry is I start to have perceptions with fragrances.
Sorry, again?
I start to have perceptions with fragrances.
Oh, okay.
So a feeling
Mm-hmm.
has another layer of how this feeling would smell like. Of course, you can't really touch it because it's too subtle.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see it because you don't know how to what picture to form of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always some sort of fragrance because you are talking about the subtle inputs
Mm-hmm.
in your body. So one of the subtlest inputs was that this particular feeling I could resonate with rosewood fragrance.
Okay.
Something that I would really, it's not flowery, it's not woody, but it's somewhere in between.
Mm.
And that's where it just settles down because it's so grounding, it's so earthing. So I opened my eyes a couple of times because I wanted to see whether I'm sinking down physically or
Mhm.
is it just
Mhm.
me who's feeling inside of it.
Wow.
And I was sinking down. So
Wow.
that heaviness, that grounding actually manifests inside.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Can I ask you a further question? What does it mean to you when you
Sure.
are smelling that fragrances?
It's not smelling.
Or
I
when you
don't have
are,
a physical.
yep, when you
So
are
I can,
identifying this feeling with that
yes.
fragrance, what does it mean to you?
So basically, it's just like you associate colors with emotions, right?
Everybody has their own,
Anger, red,
yeah.
calm. For me, anger means red. Anger also, red means anger. Red also means celebration at times.
Mm-hmm.
Blue means, uh, you know, peace, pacifying sort of an
Mm-hmm.
energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow is excitement. Yellow is go
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm,
do kind of a thing, right?
mm,
One of those feelings that you have just before a run.
mm,
Brown is more grounded.
mm-hmm.
Similar to brown
Mm-hmm.
is the heavier
Mm-hmm.
fragrances
Mm-hmm.
with heavier notes.
Mm-hmm.
Woods, earthy fragrances, right?
Mm-hmm.
A
Mm-hmm.
heavy wood, probably cedar wood for that matter,
Mm,
right? Balsam for that matter.
mm-hmm.
So it's taking your experience to another level where
Mm-hmm.
you know how those fragrances would be.
Mm,
And then you want to go out in the world and explore those fragrances and remember the state.
mm, mm. I
You
see
know,
where you're coming from.
the variation with colors is that you see colors all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot have a unique fixation
Mm-hmm.
to a color versus an emotion. But for the fragrances, they are pretty unique.
Mm. So I guess we tend to identify certain emotions and we give it a meaning to it. If it works for you, perfect. It's beautiful. Yeah, because what you are doing from the neurological point of view, you are rewiring. Yeah, your familiar uh, neuron pathways to a new neuron
Yeah.
pathways that serves you.
Yes.
And we all can do that.
Yes.
And that's so beautiful the way
Yes.
you put it. Yeah, you identify or you give a meaning to what felt comfortable for you.
So instead of observing and instead of being worried or scared or kind of being bothered
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
what that emotion meant inside or what that hollowness was,
Mm-hmm.
or if I went inside and I saw hollowness, I would be scared. Why isn't there anything here? Why is there a hollowness?
mm,
When Ainee is asking me to look for certain bits and pieces, why am I not seeing anything?
mm-hmm.
So instead of that worry and that hollowness having a small little box of worry inside it, it's important for you to kind of associate anything, probably a taste, probably a smell, probably a palette of fragrances, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And this takes you on another journey
Mm,
where you are, I would say, bribed, if that's the wrong, if that's the right word, bribed. So you bribing yourself that I'm going to learn about more fragrances. I'm going to experience higher, uh, uh, you know, what do you say? Experiential things.
mm. I totally get you. I totally resonate with you.
Yeah.
I think the audience will resonate because it's very human. Because human do that, and
Yeah.
it's how you choose to rewire as long as it serves you. See, we have been talking from the beginning of this podcast until now. It's really about building a new relationship with yourself. So how you want to
Absolutely.
build a relationship with yourself is entirely up to you as long as
Yes.
you feel comfortable. It gives you meaning. To me, words that you choose, hollow, not hollow, emptiness, whatever word you choose, right? It's you. It's your meaning. And if that serves you, yes, and that's beautiful.
And I'll add one layer to it. Let's say whenever you next time that you ever go out
Mm-hmm,
in the woods,
mm-hmm,
probably
mm-hmm,
in the forest,
mm-hmm.
and you're able to smell cedar wood mixed with rosewood,
Mm-hmm. I will
you
try
will
that.
you will at that point of time know what Herman was feeling or with that hollowness. So I have transferred that data to you through another layer.
It's amazing. I'm gonna try it. I do have cedarwood essential oil that I can, but I do know cedarwood is very grounding. I use that.
Yes.
And rose is also very rejuvenating.
Very
So
rejuvenating.
yeah, so if you combine those, I can only imagine how great it feels.
So this is one of the practices that we should carry on.
Um,
Another thing, what's your perspective of? Okay, so we have spoken about a very important practice here.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We've spoken about something which is very profound. It has the power to change how you perceive life's challenges.
mm-hmm,
But there's one problem to it.
mm,
The problem is that you cannot be sitting in chaos trying to cut chaos. You cannot cancel, you cannot be demolishing a house sitting inside
yep,
the house,
yep,
right?
yep. I
It's very important for you to kind of move out of that
mm-hmm,
space,
mm-hmm,
whatever you want to demolish, whatever you want to change, whatever you want to renovate.
mm-hmm,
So it's important for you to move out of the chaos in order to observe what the chaos was about inside you.
mm. Thank you so
So
much.
that's where I bring the concept of having retreats, not for a enjoyment perspective, not from an enjoyment perspective, but from a self discovery perspective.
Mm-hmm, mm,
Because that's a space where you know for the next 5 days, 6 days, I am going to be out of that logistic zone. I don't have to cover those logistics of life.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there within me, and nobody's knocking on the door and saying, okay, did you buy milk? Was the bread delivered? That will be a very big punishment to yourself.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from, and that's a very beautiful way of putting it, is taking ourselves out from the box to look into the box. Um, yeah,
Yes,
so
absolutely.
it's exactly
Absolutely.
the mindfulness practice, right? So
Hmm.
when we sit there, when I teach meditation, when we sit there and observing our thoughts, observing our emotions, we are taking a step back to look at the
Hmm.
emotions with neutrality, with a new
Hmm.
lens, not identify
Hmm.
ourselves. So we are observing the thought patterns, we are observing how the emotions moves in the body. We are observing everything as from a third eye, from a third lens, third
Third
person
person's
perspective.
perspective. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you, from taking ourselves out away physically, it's going to help a lot in terms of energy wise. You're surrounded by people and away from the energy that you are currently in, which is very, very ideal. I traveled to Nepal in my own transitions, layers and layers, and I find traveling and being away from the familiar helps. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, for me to
Very good.
look at
Very beautifully
things.
put.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's where you go on a self discovery.
that's
Why?
right. It
Because
is.
your mind is away from the logistics.
Mm-hmm,
Your mind is observing the outside.
mm-hmm,
At the same
mm-hmm,
time, you are building a pattern of observance.
mm-hmm,
So that observance outside, it's very easy to turn inwards
mm-hmm,
when you are in that observance mode.
mm-hmm. And also, when you are in a familiar place, where you are, you only see a tunnel vision. You only see what it is. But when you are
mm,
outside, it kind of opens up
mm,
your lens to see people,
mm,
to feel, to observe, and that
mm.
helps to bring more wisdom, different perspective. Yeah. I do
Perfect.
want to share
Perfect.
something which just came to my mind. We were talking about menopause and perimenopause and all that. I've been traveling, I've been studying different cultures and different things. And there is this cultural wisdom in Japan. I'm not too sure if you heard of it. It's called, in Japan, the menopause word is called koneki.
Koneki.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've
I've
heard of?
read about it.
Okay.
I've read about it.
Wow,
Yes.
it just came to my feed a couple of days ago, or maybe
Mm.
you know this is coming, but I took a short read about it. It says that ko means changes, renewal. Nen means years. Yeah, ki is the life energy. So the way I understand
Mm.
it is, menopause is understood as a life energy shift. So we are shifting.
Yes.
So in Japan, ancient practice, I'm always very fond of ancient practices, understanding how this culture works. Yeah,
Mm.
it's a transition into clarity, a time when uh, that changes, big changes in our life, our movements. It's more of not something that we suppress, but something that we enter consciously. Like you say, during the perimenopause phase, we enter consciously. Like I should start preparing that at any point of time,
Yes.
I
Very
am
important.
going to be experiencing this, right?
Mm.
It's really
Mm.
entering this consciously. And when you do that, mind, body, and your spirit, your body learns to adapt to these changes,
Adapt.
to
Yes.
adapt to these changes instead of, pushing it away.
Resisting it.
Yeah, yeah,
Resisting it.
resisting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are, in fact, redirecting it inward. Again, it's self discovery, right?
Perfect. Perfect. And Annie, I was wanting to say what I'm about to say after the podcast recording was over, but I think I should say it right now.
Oh.
The way you explain things, it's so calming. Before the podcast, it was really early in the morning for me.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
was in a rush, right? I wanted to kind of do everything and then be here, and that energy was in the upheaval. So when I started, I was wanting to go through this podcast as a normal podcast,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? You speak, you ask questions, you speak
It,
about
it
it.
is a
It's a
normal
30-40 minutes thing,
podcast.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But what it has turned out to be is a literal grounding practice for me. Just the way you speak, just the way you put across your
Mm-hmm.
points, you have that poise, you have that charm, you have that calmness to you. So thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much,
you
Amy.
so
Thank you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you. I can feel your presence and your groundedness here as well. It's really nice, and this exchange of energy. And I do want to
It's
share
brilliant.
one more word for the audience. Personally, my own experience, as I was preparing for this podcast, I remember what my grandfather told me years and years ago. And I think his wisdom
Mm,
is worth sharing. So my
mm,
grandfather has passed away many years ago when I was 17, but I'm his first granddaughter. So I'm really very close to him. I remember during my teenage time, and as I watched him, doing all the house chores, and sudden compassion came, and I would say, Grandpa, stop doing. And you know what
mm,
he told me, which I didn't understand then, right? He says we must grow old gracefully. Oh, that's so
mm,
profound. I didn't understand then, as a teenager, and I thought slowing
mm,
down, stop doing and all this kind of thing. But
mm,
today, as we talk about menopause, and
mm,
something just came to me, and I remember my grandfather that at 50 now, I understand that it means not fighting the change. When we grow old gracefully, we're not fighting the change. And this is not my wisdom, it's my grandfather's wisdom. And I just got to understood it now, at 50, that we have to cooperate with this. Grace means not resisting the change. And that's what she
Let
told
it be.
me. And it was beautiful. And I thought it's worth sharing with the audience.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you.
so much, Ainee.
Thank you.
It was a lovely podcast.
Mhm.
And I'm sure we would be doing a lot
Of this.
more
Yes.
discussions, a lot more panel discussions. And the way you kind of bring that grounding energy, I would wish that we do a lot of retreats together as well.
Yes, I would love to see how this will expand. And to the audience,
It will.
here's an invitation for you to meet yourself more honestly as we grow together.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much, Ainee. Thank you so much.
Thank you.